Hi, and welcome to the New Property Show. My name is Steve McManaman. In this episode, we're going to take a look back and hear from some of our previous guests and experts that have joined us on the New Property Show. You'd obviously built a house before. Do you remember building or buying or your first home?
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. Look, I have always enjoyed the buying properties, and it's the one thing I'm being blessed now that the West is the best, I always say. And the reason why I say that, because it's so close to the CBD, which is the Melbourne, and it's only about 30 kilometres, 25 kilometres. What is offered undermined, so the prices are really, really cheap compared to the other part of the Melbourne. So for those people like myself and others who wants to start a business, the western suburbs are great. So I bought a property and I doubled it. So I bought it, for example, 5.6 million, was sold at 11.25. It's a property, was on a Carolina Springs. So it has been always something that I always like to do it, and happened to be in western suburbs. So it's always the property market is up in western suburbs.
I guess as an investor, and both even the first home buyers listening, I think the most important thing to land, apart from location, and you obviously talked about with it being 30 to 35 kilometres from the CBD, infrastructure. So the word infrastructure, it's a large word. What would you define that is? What are you looking for, both as a customer and a developer?
Well, look, if I were to buy a paddock, which is a big patch, so I buy 60 acres, 100 acres, the property, the first thing I look at, make sure there's a PSB approved, so not in a Greenwich, for example, and thank you asking for that thing, say, have to be infrastructure, the meaning, the drainage, the storm water, meaning that you need to have a sewage. So these are the things when we buy properties we look at. If it's far away from the infrastructure, that means you can't deliver your project. A lot of developers can trap into it, saying that, because PSB been approved, so you literally can go to the council and get a planning permit. But if it's away from the infrastructure, which means the storm water, drainage, and sewage, technically you can't develop it. Even you have a planning permit, but it's no use of the planning permit. I have come across few developers who's been very big, I can't name them, and they made a big mistake. They went out and they bought a couple of patch, I'm talking about 150 acres, things like that, and they have received a planning permit, but they can't practically deliver that patch. So my advice would be for those people who are listening, through your show, buying a property, when you're buying a land from the land developer, you make sure you ask the questions about how far is from the services, which is infrastructure. So the best thing, a lot of people go and buy properties online or buying through the real estate agent. I think my great advice for first time buyers, go out and view site by your naked eyes, and you can see that are there roads surrounding, is it not dirt roads. So it will take a time, even though developer will bring it, but it's going to take a time.
Curveball. Haven't thrown this question before because we don't typically touch in the established market. But what about clients coming to you with auctions? How are auctions? Let's say the auctions it's gone in, and you think they've overpaid. How are you overcoming that? And is that a type of deal that you've done before?
As in they've already purchased at auction?
They've purchased at auction. They've gone a couple of $100,000 over.
Yes.
They're committed, or even over the reserve price of the home.
Yes.
So the valuation might be short.
Yes.
Is that just out of curiosity? Is that something you've come across before?
Look, it happens all the time. Friday's a very popular day at our company because that's the day we need pre-approval.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bank don't get in time, and I say, now just remember, you don't have pre-approval, so just take that in mind before you make any offers. And then on Monday I get a call saying, Cullen, I've done something silly, I bought at auction, I've signed a 66W, and I have overpaid. We've had that. So we're all about looking at solutions. So we've had clients that one bank, the valuation comes in short, but luckily there's more than one bank that does that 90% waiver. So we use a bit of arbitrage and we get a valuation elsewhere. And to this day, we still haven't had a client that hasn't been able to get the loan somewhere for the price we've paid because we're able to utilise the 30 lenders on our panel. But it can be hairy if you're boxed into that one lender.
What it does is provides a digital platform for a conveyance service. So conveyancing is a very administrative heavy task which can have human error. So Bill has created some bots and other things, some technology behind the scene to do the administrative heavy parts of the transaction, so our conveyancers and lawyers can focus more on the human interaction. So all our clients and referral partners have their own apps or portals to log into, and they can do it all digitally online, or they can talk to us and not use the technology at all.
Because there's, I guess, a lot of multiple different parties involved in a settlement. In a typical settlement, would you mind going through how many parties behind the scenes are involved, and then give us example of a complex one? So if we were to do, for example, house and land, what's needed behind the scenes before you can actually settle?
Well, you need to have all your parties aligned, make sure they're all sort of, if it's an electronic settlement, sitting on the same settlement workspace. Everybody, it's not different to how it used to be in the olden days with physical and paper settlements, only that everything is put on the same platform, it's all shared, it kind of mitigates risks these days, where we make sure that no one's moving forward with the transaction until everybody, like the bank, the lawyers. Yeah, through PEXA.
Yeah.
So banks, the lawyers, finance, everyone's got to be ready, and it won't let us move forward to settlement or give us the green light until that happens. Whereas in the past, it used to be phone calls, being on hold for hours and all of that. So it is a lot simpler.
So with a couple, for example, if they've spent $600,000, they're not taking advantage of the other schemes, but they're just using the standard first home buyer scheme or grant, so that'll be around about $10,000. So based on 8 or 9%, that's, let's say, a round number of $50,000 is what they should aim for in savings.
Yep.
If they take away $10,000, if they can use that initiative there, ideally they should be saving $40,000.
$40,000 at least, yeah.
What about if, for example, they're a little bit shorter on their deposit? Let's have another look at an example there. They still want to own the property themselves. We haven't explored guarantors quite often. So what are your thoughts on adding a guarantor onto that property and possibly refinancing later?
Yes, so there's always the option of if you've got parents or family members who can act as guarantors for you, as far as the equity or the deposit side of the property is concerned, then that's definitely an option. So for that, they need to have equity available within their properties, and you as an individual or you as a couple need to be able to service that loan yourself. As long as those criteria are met, you can actually get a guarantor on your loan, and that way, reduce the deposit you have to make.
Could you hypothetically, just playing with the numbers here, do a deal with almost zero savings if mum and dad had the right amount of equity?
Potentially, yes, you could.
So bank of mum and dad?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, you can, right? And it's again a good option for first home buyers out there, because with the cost of living going up, it's obviously very hard to have as much savings as required to get into your own home. And you don't want young people to be stuck in that cycle where they can't buy a home and achieve their dream of property ownership.
One more question specifically, I guess, targeted towards first home buyers. Let's say a first home buyer secured a block of land. How much time would you advise them to shop around and secure a builder? Land's about to title. How much time should they invest shopping for a builder, and how many quotes would you recommend?
Look, I always suggest to get at least 3 to 5 quotes so that they have a fair comparison. You need to do a lot of due diligence when it comes to builders, especially in the current market, because with the rising costs in the construction industry, a lot of builders are in danger of going under as well. So that's where picking the right builder becomes very important.
So with this show so far, we've covered first home buyers, we've covered investors, but one thing we haven't really covered is, I guess, people that are challenged. They might have a low deposit, they're motivated to get into the market. Obviously the cost of building's gone up and up. Do you want to just sort of elaborate what we spoke about earlier in terms of the current schemes that are available that would help, I guess, a disadvantaged buyer get into the market? So what's that called?
Well, as I said, I started 2 years ago in broking, and I wanted to specialize in helping first home buyers and people who are challenged, helping them from ground up to save deposit. And I've seen a lot of people don't have that deposit. The government's helping heaps with those schemes. The best one I like would be the family home guarantee, where a single parent can buy a home with as little as 2% deposit. Of course, there are terms and conditions behind it, which obviously you need to see a broker for, and a lot of banks don't participate in those schemes. But 2% deposit, I've recently helped a single mum buy a unit with $11,000 deposit. Now $11,000 deposit is nothing.
Yeah.
The only condition being that $11,000 deposit had to be saved up for 90 days, which is what they call genuine savings. So I helped her out. She had no savings. I had to help her for 6 months. I was there along the journey for her, and then finally we got in there.
So basically what you're saying there is for about $10,000 to $15,000, you can help the average, I guess, person get into the market with the right plan and a savings plan. Of course, you need to demonstrate savings. That's absolutely fantastic. It must be a good feeling to help so many people across Australia. So I guess the last question for you is what's happening with rates? What do you see happening with the property market in 2023? So are rates going to go up? And should we be building new houses next year, or should we just put it on pause?
It depends on your circumstance. If you want to build, go and have a chat to your broker, see how much you can borrow, see if you can get the house you want for that price, and go for your life, build, create your wealth. The rates, I see them going up. They're not going to stop anytime soon. Again, having a plan of action, having a savings plan, budgeting properly, going back to basics, putting money aside every week. How I did in 2017 when I bought my first home being an immigrant was having a gold saver account. Every week money would go into that savings account and save money over time.
And keeping in mind too that not everybody's a first home buyer. You can have money in offsets as well, which I guess we'll cover in future segments as well. But you're not paying interest then if you've got the money in savings. Is there a tip that you'd like to sort of share with our audience out there about wealth creation?
Wealth creation, very highly discussed topic with my clients these days. A lot of people who already own homes or paying a mortgage these days, I'm helping them withdraw cash and putting it into offset, as you said. That's the plan to wealth creation. They're putting money into the offset. If they're not confident in buying now, they might get confidence 3-4 months down the line. They have that money there to purchase when they can.
So in regards to commercial litigation, what is that for the commoner at home? And do you mind explaining maybe a couple of stories of some people that you've been involved with?
So commercial litigation is when people sue each other at its most simplest form. So they're often fighting, whether it's a contract dispute or a partnership dispute or insolvency, so people that have gone broke. It's helping either the person that's suing the other person to get money back or defending that person. So a lot of what I did was in court and involved in a lot of negotiation. The benefit of what we do now at Tax Assure is we're not a law firm, but you can't unknow what you know. It's in your blood. You've done it for so long. You understand how the law works. You understand how negotiation works. But the main benefit now is we get to help people really quickly. So we're usually in and out on a matter within 4 weeks. So for me personally, it's lovely that people aren't screaming at you. They're not cranky about time recorded bills. They're not cranky about long protracted litigation. You have genuinely helped them in a short space of time.
So you're helping them before it gets serious?
Yeah, absolutely. But they're so stressed. You can see on their faces how stressed they are. So you're giving them a solution that they didn't even know existed. And so much of what we're doing, even while we're here, is that awareness that there is help and to find the right people in all different spaces, whether it's finding the right house to buy or the right loan product or the right specialist debt help. That's why we're here.
Beautiful. What a great job. Thanks again. I'm joined here by Sadish here, who's going to cover, I guess, interest rates have been a big topic the last 7 to 8 months.
Yep.
We've had 7 interest rate cash hikes. Do you mind just sharing with us what's happening in the market there and your thoughts on it and what people can do to, be more careful?
Yeah, absolutely. So the flavor of the month has been interest rates, right? Last 7 months, Reserve Bank has increased their rates 7 times. So this is a part of their monetary policy. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to capture their inflation rate, which is at 7.3%. So the idea behind this is when Reserve Bank increase the cash rate, the lenders will increase their lending rates. As a result, you and me now need to pay more for our home loan, car loans and personal loans. Now people are going to have less money to spend on their day-to-day activities. In theory, this should bring the prices down. But in saying that, there are 2 problems in the economy still yet to be fixed. Number 1 is the Ukraine war. As a result of the Ukraine war, as we already know, the fuel prices are getting expensive. And the second problem is the supply chain issues caused by COVID-19. ANZ and Westpac is expecting the cash rate to be about 3.85, where NAB is expecting that to be about 3.6.
Way of doing business has certainly changed. The last couple of years have been Zooms. Now it's almost compulsory name and numbers registration. What's happening out there in the display village world?
Interesting. Seeing a lot of the long-term sales consultants taking the opportunity to step away from the industry. It's been tough for everybody. Who would have thought we were selling homes over Zoom, from a year and a half ago? It used to be that you are building or buying one of your largest purchases of your lifetime. To be buying it over Zoom is unique. But to be honest, from today's point of view, it's become the norm. So our sales consultants really, we don't use the word consultant as much as we used to. More advisors to understand that they're in a relationship with the client for upwards of 2 to 3 years at some stages before the house actually is completed. So it's not a quick sell like it used to be, but from today's point of view, it is a journey. And for us at Harmac, our repeat business for us is crucial, being a smaller builder across Metro West, Metro North and regional. But a full circle is when they actually build a home, do a review and come back for the second one, or have a family member come back. And that for us is gold. And that's where we really rely on being that smaller builder in today's market, where you've got plenty of choice, plenty of opportunities. You're walking through a display village with 30, 40 other builders. So what really is the difference? We all use the same materials, the same bricks, the same roof colours, the same everything. It comes down to the individual sitting in that display centre. So keeping them positive through the last 3 years has probably been the hardest thing from a mentoring point of view, because it is tough. It's tough for yourself to get yourself out of bed of a morning, but understand that they're doing it just as tough. So really working on just their well-being, whether it's doing group exercises or you're just out there and about, just walking and socialising and Zooming as much as you possibly can as a team, to try and keep them full of energy and upskilling.
Now, last thing, you obviously look after your clients quite well. Do you run any seminars, get-togethers? What do you do differently from the brokers that I've had on the show here? Don't want to give away all your trade secrets, but you do have quite a following. What's your point of difference?
Our main point of difference is that not only are we the only brokers for lawyers, but we're accredited with all the major law societies. So it's like that stamp of trust that these guys, they speak our lingo, and they're also accredited with the governing bodies. And because of that, and all our history for the last 4 years, they know that we get results for our clients. And to add value, every month we come out with in-house seminars for our own clients in terms of what's going on in the market. They see us on the Lawyers Weekly show, which we come out every RBA rate rise. There's a segment that comes out from Legal Home Loans with the Lawyers Weekly to say this is what you need to know from the RBA, and our clients love seeing that, because it's like, okay, they know what's going on. And I've got clients that have shopped our product that haven't become clients yet, but they still watch us and go, Cullen, next time I need to refinance, I get your emails all the time, I'm going to come and see you. And we love that.
Beautiful. So education's key.
Elevation through education.
And definitely, and obviously staying on top of it in terms of the property market, rate rises, and just being prepared, and make sure you got your pre-approval before you go to auction.
Lasts for 90 days and it doesn't cost a thing, please.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us on the New Property Show.
Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good man.
1 week ago, we visited the House and Land Expo. We heard about the Queensland hotspots and the positive geared income and the benefits of cash flow is king.
Oh, look, it's been a crazy ride. So, sort of pre-COVID, look, things were going okay. COVID COVID come along, and then everything was, I suppose, turned upside down. No one really knew what was around the corner. And then sort of post-COVID, look, everyone knows property prices went crazy, particularly in regional towns. And that's where our sort of business model is based, is we sort of appealing to that regional sort of market. So we're trying to attract the city buyers and sort of making the move west out of the big cities. And I think post-COVID has been a huge change for the world of property, definitely. So
probably say due to COVID, now we're starting to see the changes. We've had a very good market in the last 2 years or so, and now the shortages are starting to happen with trades, and the prices have obviously started to escalate dramatically. So a lot of the customers are sitting there scratching their head thinking, when does this stop? So that's something that we have to deal with on a daily basis, trying to explain to people what is currently happening and what the future is holding.
I think recent times, if we look over the last few years, there's no question that COVID has had an impact on materials and supply, and that has had a flow-on effect on the prices of building. That has meant that some people have felt less confident in what they're doing in the future. For us as a builder, we've been using the honest and upfront approach to being upfront with our clients, as we know things that we tell clients. However, that means that sometimes that affordability has been under question for customers. So for some people, they will think about it and maybe just take that little bit of time out and just wait and then see if things change. So I think that's been a big change.
The show's been great. I think the deposit booster, where the cash flows around in that box, has been really popular. It's been a hit. I do believe we got most popular store yesterday, so that was great. That was a nice little win for us. We've had a lot of really great conversations with people that are really keen on getting into the property market. We think it's as good a time as ever to get into the property market. Property prices have corrected a bit recently, and while interest rates have gone up, still many people are in a position to achieve their goals or some version of their goals for getting into the property market.
They ought to be commended on putting on such a fantastic show. We'll definitely be here next year, that's for sure.
We are in the best time of the market cycle right now. So I would say to any investor, any home buyer, that get in right now, because you will miss the uplift that's coming in the next 7 years.
Being based up in Queensland, it's good to come down to Melbourne and see what all the other builders are doing and continuing to push each other. I think sustainability has been a really good topic that people have been talking about, and how do we build better, how do we be better, and all different aspects of the building side. And that's been great to see that not just the builders and the manufacturers, and it's seeing that the buyers are conscious in that area as well, and it means a lot to them. So that's a real positive thing, because it creates us to push ourselves in innovation.
I would say real estate is one such industry wherein you get in, and I don't think it would ever go wrong. So always, I would encourage people to go more into investment. It could be either buying and selling the house off, or keeping it as an investment, but try to do it.
There's going to be a couple more interest rates, right? Probably not so big. And I think the market will, as far as interest rates will level out over the next probably 6 to 7 months, where there probably won't be any more interest rates probably. That scepticism will go away.
I think first home buyers have a massive opportunity at hand here. So whether it's buying or existing borrowers who are refinancing their properties, I think there's still massive opportunities and gaps for us to win.
Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week.